All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, if there is such a thing. Welcome to today's Microsoft Flight Simulator live stream. We are heading from Sofia, Bulgaria to Thessaloniki, Greece. About a 2-hour flight. Hopefully, maybe a little bit quicker. We'll see. We'll wait a minute or so and see if anybody pops in, and then we'll get started. I'm going to continue to drink my coffee here for a moment. We'll be going in a moment. We'll be getting going in a moment, not get going. Hello, Imperial Builder. Yes, you are the first. I don't quite understand why everybody has to put that instead of saying hello. I mean, it's not like it's a race or anything, or you're going to get a medal for being the first in the chat. I don't quite understand that mindset, but okay. Welcome. Let's get in here and get the plane started up, and we will be in the air before we know it. Clean my glasses off while we're waiting for this thing to load up. All right. Let's get our checklist open. Hello, Crankman. Hello, Willie. I don't know, but it feels good when you're the first. Okay. You have a story to tell you about your Eureka vacuum cleaner. All right. 11640. You know how Eureka Power Speeds have foot pedals to release the neck? Well, mine you have to step on the head to remove the neck correctly. Huh, interesting. I would not have known that. So did they scrap the idea of stepping? Oh. I have no idea. Let's see, we are departing to the west, I believe. Morning, Amela. Morning, Joseph. Try something new to just scrap the... oh, okay. Well, you know better than I do. I have no idea about any of those things, so I will defer to your expertise. So it should be a fairly quick flight. It's only 98 nautical miles to our first waypoint after we take off and head our correct direction this time. No dialing in the wrong. Not like last time. So mine is rare before they went back to the standard. I picked up 2 Bissels yesterday. Yeah, I think I remember you said something about that in chat yesterday. Right? I'm fine. Well, I'm okay, Joseph. I feel like I've been arguing with a brick wall today, right off the bat. So, yeah. It seems to be a new... Well, I wouldn't say it's a new issue. It's just an ongoing problem, I think. Basically, in the flight sim community, that if you fly certain things, how could you do that? You know, there seems to be this new thing where everybody says nothing works, and without, you know, they don't work through it. Just kind of like what we've had before in Train Sim World 2. I slept fine, Amela. No, I'm wide awake. It's just that I'm seeing a kind of a replay of what happened in Train Sim World 2, and specifically say Sandpatch Grade, for instance. A lot of people swore off Sandpatch Grade because they didn't want to spend the time getting the train going, right? And so they immediately write it off as a failed route. You know, it doesn't work. Blah 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 blah. Well, part of it is they don't do the tutorial, for instance, or they do it and then they forget, and they don't go back and say, okay, I'm going to redo the tutorial to make sure I know where all the... Well, yeah, Joseph, I know why you can't sleep, and so... All right, I guess today's chat is going to be therapy. For whatever reasons. Anyway, well, let me just taxi down here and get ready to take off. I'm going to have to start charging you all for this. Honestly, I'm really going to have to, because yeah, I feel like this is turning into a therapy session for a lot of folks, and if I'm going to do that, I might as well start charging for it. Anyway, so yes, I was arguing with somebody this morning because it's easy to label something as broken. Yeah. And I said, well, no, it's not broken. It's just that it requires time and patience, and you have to work through, because the thing is that based on previous experiences, we expect things to work a certain way. When they don't, we immediately say that it's broken. Right? And then we get frustrated and we start, saying outlandish things and whatnot. And then when we discover, oh, well, it does work. And I told this person, I said, even with a mountain, hello, Lamil. Yeah, exactly. I said, even with a mountain of evidence, you're going to still call the plane crap. So, what's the point? You already have it in your mind that the plane doesn't work. So, I don't know what to tell you. Anyways, alright, let's get ready to line up first. Let's get out of here. And once we get in the air, we can continue the therapy session, I guess. All right. All right, now, one of the things I'm going to do... All right. Okay. Bag, you need to stop spamming in my chat. Okay? Hello? Welcome? But you need to stop right now, okay? Goodness gracious. Oh, hello, Ante. I'm sorry. It's like everybody. It's just been getting messy in the chat. Okay, thank you, Amelo. Ay. All right, let's line up here and get out of here. Yep, got no patience for that this morning. Sorry, but no. When it comes to vacuum cleaners, I do stuff for myself and never ask for help. If spell vacuum don't work, I'll try something until it picks up. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mela. Yeah, I got no patience for that kind of stuff anymore. Alright. I think this is as good as it's going to get for the lineup. We want to head 186. Our heading bug needs to be 186. Alright. think we are all set otherwise. All right. Go ahead and minimize that. We can use that if we need to, just to get us online. But let's, well, you know what? Let's just try to do it this way. All right. Yeah, I was getting ready to, but Mela took care of business. Anyways. Away we go. I was up at 7 something this morning, not going back to sleep. All right, Joseph. Well, that's your choice. Amazing graphic. Yes, yeah, it's not too bad. I would agree. All right, now we're picking up our signal for our next our waypoint that we're heading to. Alright, we are on our way to Thessaloniki. Sorry if I'm butchering that name. Continue to climb up here. And I think we are good to go. Flaps are all up. Alright, we are on our way. So, tomorrow we will be in the quote-unquote unflyable broken ERJ-175 going from William P. Hobby Airport in Houston to Los Angeles, LAX. 6:30 Eastern, 11:30 UK. Is our expected flight time for that. So I've got the plan already made out till the 14th of May, roughly, with the exception of our viewer-requested flights going into May. We have a viewer-requested flight this Friday going from Toulouse, Blana to Barcelona for Patrice. And then we will continue. We will be in Athens day after tomorrow. We will be landing, and that will conclude this journey. The Junkers 52, at least this part of it. Junkers 52 will return. We may do Tuesdays and Thursdays, may be like a afternoon, say around noontime my time, so I have time to eat and do some other stuff, and then we might do second flights on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Alright, Joseph, that's fine. So we will be doing that most likely, just so that we have some other vintage sort of routes, some other things to do with the Junkers 52. A week from today, we start our 32-leg journey to former Dutch Indies. The first leg will take us from Amsterdam to Leipzig. We will be landing at some familiar airports for that flight, or for that journey to the former Dutch Indies. But once we leave, at a certain point, we will start making our way across the Middle East. We'll go through Cairo, we'll go through Iraq, Iran, I think parts of India, maybe. But yeah, it's gonna be quite a long journey. It's gonna take us 32 legs to get there. We won't arrive to our destination until sometime in August. If we fly Mondays and Wednesdays, it's going to take us some time to get there. See how we're looking for distance. 82 nautical miles. Now let's just have a look to make sure we are not widely off track here. We are next to our track. Okay. So some of those flights will be about 4 hours in length. Some will be about an hour and a half. I've tried to break them up if they were going to be too long. So we're going to try to fly the route as it was done in the 1930s, but we have some additional stopovers along the way to break up the journey. You could say, well, we were on our way and then we had some mechanical difficulties, so we had to deviate and land and all that. So that way we are I don't think our altimeter is going to change at all. We've got calm winds. And once we head over these hills, I'll get a actually, this might work right here. I like that picture right there. Zoom in just a smidge there. Everybody say Junkers, Junkers. All right, external. .74 nautical miles. So we are heading the right direction this time. on the correct heading and everything, not like last time where we were clearly on the wrong path. Luckily we found that out before it got too late. Right, so as I was saying, as we were trying to get started here, yeah, so lots of people, this is the funny thing. If you fly the Braddock 737 MAX, which is the only 737 we have available currently, PMDG is working on a new 737. Well, it will be new to the sim. They're working on generational 737s, basically. But if you fly Braddock, people are like, why would you do that? It's not that great. It's crap. Or if you fly the Captain Sims 777s, same thing. Why would you do that? It's crap. Why would you spend your money on it? Kind of thing. So somebody was saying the same thing about the Embraers. The thing is that, as I was trying to say earlier, the Embraers have their own kind of quirks. And when you fly, when you do things the way that you expect it to work and it doesn't, people immediately, like last night, I'll give another example. Last night somebody posted in a Discord about, not mine, but somebody else's Discord, that somebody had said on Facebook that the F-15 is broken. Okay, what does that mean, broken? First off, now I loaded up into the F-15, started it up, was able to taxi out, game didn't crash or anything or whatever. There's a known issue with the throttles, which DC Designs has submitted. They have patched it. They're waiting for the patch to be released sometime this month. Probably be by the end of the month. But it may be that that person didn't know that it's a known issue and that a fix is forthcoming. We'll fly out here for a little bit with the scenery. So interestingly enough, they feel that or they posted that the plane's broken, right? And it's easy that we assume when things don't look or work the way that we think they're supposed to, we immediately call it broken. And instead of saying, okay, well, maybe I have it and I don't fly it for the time being until the fix is done, that's fine, you know. Or if you feel that egregious about it, you can submit for a refund, right? If you feel like you were misled or whatever, you can submit for a refund. But many people don't want to do that. They just want to go on and say and complain instead of saying, I'm running into this issue. Is it a known issue or what's going on? So, yeah, I find that seems to be the go-to. Wow, this is some nice scenery here. Look at that. Some little mountain lakes, ponds, whatever. Maybe it's a lake, maybe it's a pond, I don't know. Is that supposed to be a dam? Maybe it's just the way it looked like there's a dam right there. But I think it's an optical illusion. So yeah, it's rather troubling that, you try to be, like I said, even if I provide a ton of evidence that the plane does work, people aren't going to want to see that. Like, oh, so it does work. Well, I didn't know because I didn't spend the time trying to see if it would work. you know, 64 nautical miles. All right, we are making our way. And then we will turn on the heading of 177 for 35 nautical miles. That will take us towards our destination today. So yeah, it's just I'm starting to see this pattern develop again in the Microsoft Flight Sim community, and part of it too is that there's a difference between what is happening on the Xbox and what's happening on the PC side. I spent a good portion of this weekend trying to tell somebody, because every time they're like, oh, I want to buy this. Well, it's not in the in-game marketplace yet. Well, when is it going to be in there? We don't know. Well, how come it's not there? Well, you can go buy it from other marketplaces right now if that's what you want. If that's an aircraft that you know, whatever it is that you want, you can get it here. Well, I don't want to get it there. I want to, you know, it was like, again, it was like talking to a brick wall. And part of it is when somebody is new to the sim, you try to say, look, this is, you know, first off, are you on the PC or are you on the Xbox? Okay, on the PC, you have all these different options when it comes to your purchasing, sort of, your purchase power. Those of us on the Xbox are stuck with the in-sim marketplace. We don't have any other options. So, you know, you try to explain to people what, you know, how to get other products. And then it became, okay, what's an add-on? Is that the same as a mod? You know, it's like this one question leads to another, and then it became, well, in real life, the 737s are grounded because of this. So when these next iterations of the 737 going to fix that? Well, you're talking about something in real life versus the sim, you know, and it's like you're mixing the two up. What is happening in the real world does not affect what's happening in the sim. Generally, you know, like they may withhold a product. Like I think DC Designs has shelved their one of the SU Russian aircraft that they were working on based on what's happening between Russia and Ukraine. That's their decision as a business. If they feel like that's not an appropriate thing to release, then that's on them. But you try to help people who are new, because I didn't know anything when I first started playing the sim. You know, when I first started out, I had no idea what was a good developer and who wasn't. You know, I was just like, ooh, it's a cool looking plane, let's get this. And then you come to find out it's not that good. The developer is suspect. Alright, let's see where we're at now. We should be under 60 nautical miles to our waypoint there. Yep, 56. So we're almost halfway to our first waypoint. Anyways, now that that's all been clarified, I am sorry for your loss, Mr. Addies. You need to take care of yourself now more than ever. Your family is going to need you, so do not ignore your own health in this time. Okay? That's my advice to you. You need to take care of yourself right now. Brinkman, your issues with your vacuum cleaners are quite interesting. I've never met somebody who is so passionate about vacuum cleaners, quite honestly. I would have never thought that all these little issues that you just explained about how the vacuum cleaner was used, I would have never thought about any of that kind of stuff. So thank you to the new viewers who came in and said hello. Thank you again, Amela, for getting rid of somebody who clearly was not going to respect the rules of the chat. I can assure everybody who is watching right now, even if you're watching this on the replay, I am not going to tolerate that sort of stuff anymore. You can come up with every excuse in the world. Oh, my little sibling did this and it wasn't me. I'm sorry, I don't really care anymore. Okay? If you want to be disruptive, you're going to get shown the door. No warnings or anything. So, you want to come in and hang out? Watch some classic aviation like we have here with the Junkers 52, you're more than welcome to. If you want to ask a question about the flight or whatever, I can try to answer reasonable questions regarding that. If you come in and ask like some idiot did yesterday, and yes, you are an idiot. Do I know who Kim Jong-un is? Yes. Do I care what he's up to? No. It doesn't have any impact on my life. So if you want to come in and ask questions like that, I'm going to show you the door. Or you will be shown the door. I just don't have time for that kind of silliness anymore. We're not here to talk about world politics. That's not what this channel is about. We can talk about things in a historical context, like we do sometimes with our scenic flights or our flights in military aircraft. But that's as far as it goes. We're not here to debate public foreign policies or anything like that. It's not what this channel is about. Yes, it will. One of the things I learned, and I'll tell you the story real quick. Well, let's have a quick story time. Why not? So many years ago, when I was at Fort Riley, Kansas, I was leaving the Army. This was the first time I left the Army. And because I was leaving, I got put on funeral detail. Now, I'd never been on funeral detail before. And basically what it is that you go and you provide military honors for a veteran and their families. In some cases, they have a family. Some veterans don't. And they don't have anybody to honor their service. And so we all were kind of laughing and joking. We got called up. We had to go provide funeral services for a veteran. I think he was a World War II veteran. So we're driving in a van and we're going to the funeral. So we're kind of laughing and, and all that. And it was a very depressing, like when we got done, everybody was like, damn, that was tough. Because, we go there, we fold the flag, we have a firing detail, with the 21 gun salute, basically. 7 rifles, 3 volleys for 21 shots. And it was hard because here's this family who's lost their father, grandfather, and it was tough. And you really don't know, everybody grieves differently. And, certainly the family probably thought it was going to be it was a nice ceremony. It helped them come to terms with the loss of their loved one, I think, in a respectful way. But you never know how you are going to grieve. And even though when we got done, we were kind of grieving for the family because it's a fellow veteran, a fellow service member. But, it does kind of give you a moment of pause and say, well, you see the family crying and everything, and you try to say something kind to them and hope that it doesn't sound like it's very, that you're just saying a bunch of words just because, that it's heartfelt. But yeah, it's important. Like I didn't get to say goodbye to my grandfather. He died before I got back to California. I thought maybe he would still be alive by the time I got there, but so I could say goodbye to him properly. I didn't get that opportunity. And that's something that I have to live with for the rest of my life. But I can assure you that if my mom called me right now and said, hey, this is what's happening, I need you here, I would have to put everything on hold. I would have to stop streaming until I went and stood by my mom, helped her out in whatever way I could, until, either things improved or whatever situation transpired from there. And that's the important part. It may not be so much that I'm grieving, but to be there for her while she's grieving is the important thing. Because if it feels like you're callous about the loss or indifferent about it, people are never going to forget that. And you may think that it's okay at that particular moment, but later on in life you will say, dang, I screwed this up. I should have done this. I should have done that. Don't be the should have. If you do it now, then you'll say, I did the right thing when it was time to do the right thing. Because I saw many, even when I worked in the hospital, there was family members who, from what I gathered, they hadn't talked to the family in decades. They came there, they spent one day in the hospital with their mother, father, aunt, uncle, brother, sister, whoever, and that for them that was all they did. They weren't there at the funeral, probably. They came into town for one day. They spent maybe 8 hours there in the hospital by the bed of their loved one, and then they left. But those are the same people that expect something in return because they spent 8 hours in that hospital room with that loved one that was dying. And then they get mad when the will's read and then they get nothing. Well, why would you get something? You couldn't be bothered with the person before. You know, why should you deserve anything? Many people I knew that were hospice patients, they said, you can tell who amongst the family put aside differences, whatever, as soon as word got out that, you know, this family member was dying. You know, some people put aside whatever was happening and they went there and they stood together. And the people who didn't do anything, they were known in the family. And, you know, unless there was mitigating circumstances that they couldn't go, you know, like if they were on the other side of the world on a deployment, that's, you know, it may take them longer to get there because they have to wait for the Red Cross message and all that. And sometimes even if with that, you may not get to go. They made that clear to us when we went to Afghanistan. Hey, just because you get a Red Cross message does not mean we have to let you go. Birth of your first child, don't care. Does not mean we have to let you go. Anyway, that's our message for today. The end. Because I can assure you the pain of that regret is going to weigh on you more later on in life. It certainly will. You may not think it right now, but if you don't be there in any way, shape, or form, you're going to feel it later on. When was what? You say, when was this? Well, that's a pretty broad question. I don't like to provide specific years because then people start figuring out my age. And I don't. Just sometime in my lifetime. I think these are the things that I've seen and experienced myself. Whether when I was in the Army or when I was working at the hospital, you know, within the past decade or so, give or take. Yeah, it's just I'm an observer of people by, I guess, I don't know, just by chance, or that's just how I am. And I hear. You know, when I was an aide on the oncology floor, basically we had patients, we had cancer patients, and we also had hospice patients who were basically, it's end of life care. We're just trying to make them comfortable as they pass on. And just hearing little snippets from family members, you know, you can tell who was there, who had pretty much dropped everything that they were doing and came to the bedside of their loved one. Now, and you could tell by their discussions who had been alerted to the fact that, you know, this family member was dying, and, you know, if they basically were like, oh well, you know, for whatever reasons, they weren't interested in going there and being by the side of that family member for whatever reasons. As far as the military goes, yeah, that was initially, you know, usually if you had a Red Cross message, your command would say, okay, go, and then you would go deal with that and then come back, you know, if it was possible to do so. But after a while, the feeling was that even if you got a Red Cross message or you were expecting your first child, hey, it doesn't matter. We don't have to let you go. And chances are we're not going to let you go. And that was a very contentious issue on my last deployment. When we talked to the brigade or the division commander, 2-star General Abrams, the same Abrams that the Abrams tank is named after. His dad is the original General Abrams that the Abrams tank is named after. And General Abrams told us, the 2-star division commander said, you know, when I had to move up a deployment schedule for a certain unit, he said, boy, did I get an earful from the family members. Wives came up and said, we're pissed at you. We planned a pregnancy based on the fact that our husband was going to be here for the birth of our child, and now you are taking that away from us. He said, I had to stand there and take it. He had like a town hall meeting, right? And he said, you know, he answered some questions. He said, if anybody has any other questions or comments, I'm going to be over here. You can come up to me. We can talk. And he said, not even a second later, he said, there's a line of wives waiting to talk to me. And they all had the same story. They had planned their family, getting pregnant and everything. For many, it was their first child based on what they perceived was a deployment schedule. And when that got ripped out from underneath them, he said they were not happy and they let me know. Not that there was anything I could do about it, but he said they were pissed. And rightfully so. Because the Army had said, if you're downrange and this is the birth of your child, chances are we're going to say no. And the only way it would be is if it was a high-risk pregnancy. Then maybe they would, but there would have to be really serious circumstances. Yes, Samilla. I think you're going to ask me what I had for dinner. I had roasted chicken soup for dinner last night. It was a soup sort of night last night. I was going to make some pasta, but soup sounded like a better option. That's what I had. Alright, we are 18 nautical miles from our first waypoint. And we will make a slight turn. Southeasterly. Not a huge turn. Yeah, I get it's these Campbell chunky meals, like it's a meal in a can basically. You can get beef or you can get chicken, for instance, and it's got vegetables in there, potatoes sometimes. So it's perfect for just me. It's quick. I just throw it in the pan, heat it up, and then it's all good. No, it's not creamy. It's just regular soup. It's got like the broth or whatever. It's not condensed. I think condensed soup is a little bit creamier, but because you have to add in a can of water after you put the original contents into the into the pan. Or yeah. Usually if I have a creamy soup, it's like, what do you call it? Clam chowder or something. Alrighty, give him a little crusty salute for the instructions to continue as planned. You know, I was thinking, because I know, like, I think a week or so ago, somebody asked me if I would ever do a webcam while I stream. Maybe, if things go according, or things work out well, and I can get a PC for streaming. I get in the soup aisle at Walmart. They have all the Campbell's soups, I think. So they have like the meals in a can, basically. They have usually clam chowder, chicken soups, beef. They have vegetable soups, if you know if that's your thing. They have chili mac. Yeah, they have all. They have chicken gumbo, which has the spicy sausage and chicken in there, which is pretty good. If you got a cold or whatever, boy, that just really clears out your sinuses. So yeah, my dad sends me like a 12-pack of soup every once in a while. It was really good during the winter. Like, that is like the best thing to eat, I think, in the winter time is a bowl of soup. Alright, 10 nautical miles to our waypoint. He orders it through, you can get it through Amazon as well. And you can get like a 12-pack of soup. You can mix it up, or you can just get like all beef and vegetable, for instance. I guess it would be really good if you like if you go to work and you want to bring your lunch with you, you could just bring the can and something to heat it up in, and there's your lunch. You know. I think real quick I am going to step away for just a moment while we continue to head to our I'll be right back. Yeah, he's good like that sometimes. Well, he's good like that. All right. So let's turn a little bit this way, and then once we are past our marker or within a mile of our marker, I will tune in our next waypoint information, and we will make a heading of 177 for 35 nautical miles, and we will be at our airport. Milla. I think we are close enough now for government work, we like to say. Oops, 110 0. On a heading of 177. We're already kind of heading there anyway. Perfect. Ta-da! Look at that. Didn't even have to change much of anything. Didn't have to turn crazy. You know, just kind of thinking about, we're talking about death and funerals and everything. I was listening to Jocko Willink. I catch these little... he has like a whole podcast, so it'll be about 3.5 hours, for instance. Another times, basically what he does on YouTube is they'll put a little clip from the podcast out there. And this particular one was talking about rituals. And at first it was the rituals of, you know, I guess the discussion was around the Battle of Little Bighorn. I think it was Custer fighting the Indians, basically. He got massacred. You know, they were talking about the ritual. The Indians would put on the war paint, and there was like this whole ritual behind it, that they were mentally preparing themselves for the upcoming battle. And then they were talking about, you know, on deployments, for instance, you have a ritual before you go outside the wire. You do your comm checks and you do roll call and all these sorts of things, because that's just how it's done. And then he mentioned about, you know, death. In some cultures, there are very specific rituals when somebody passes, what happens, you know, afterwards, what the people who are still living do. And you know, he talked about, for instance, when a Navy SEAL dies, you know, the SEALs that they may have served with all go and they pound their trident into the casket, and then basically the feeling is, once you do that and the casket's lowered in the ground, you are letting go of that person. In a way, you've honored them, and now you respect their life, and then you move on from that. And a lot of times people, I think, struggle with that last part because they don't have any ritual. They don't know what to do with the loss of a loved one. You know, because for many families, for various reasons, they don't hold to those traditions like they should. And part of it is because it's usually the younger folks. They don't understand the tradition. They don't understand the ritual. So they just kind of laugh it off as, oh, it's just a bunch of old-time silliness or whatever. So, alright, I think we're going to start losing some altitude here. Go ahead and dial back our throttle a bit just to start dumping some altitude here. So we don't want to go too fast too soon. About a 5-degree down bubble, as they like to call it. It's a decent descent. Yeah, I always like listening to Jocko every once in a while. He does have some really interesting guests on, and his co-host on the podcast, Echo Charles. I had assumed Echo Charles was also a former service member, and it turns out he is not. I did some background research. He was a football player, so he's kind of like when Jocko talks about things military related that Echo doesn't quite understand. He asks those, the layman questions to ask for clarification about certain things. So it provides a good context to the listeners and the viewers as to what Jocko's talking about. Yeah, really enjoyed listening to those every once in a while. It's interesting because it's always timely sort of stuff. You can find his podcast on Spotify, but he's also got a YouTube channel that he, usually a day after the podcast, he'll upload because he'll record. They have cameras in their little studio, and they have a video recording of the whole conversation. So you see the interaction between Jocko and the guest and Echo, for instance. And you don't even have to be a former military service member to get the gist of what Jocko talks about. Alright, 24 nautical miles away from our waypoint there. Our airport should be in the distance, I do believe. Let me just have a quick look at our navigation. So we're going to come in on runway 16. Hopefully we will have a straight-in shot. The airport has changed. In the sim currently there's only one runway, but in real life there are now two. We can see it when we come in. We'll see the you could see the runway under construction, basically. Matter of fact, oops. The airport should be somewhere right up in there. So yeah, anyway, kind of bring it back. So yes, there's a possibility that I will add a camera to the stream. Should I be able to get a PC system going at some point. So yeah, we may do that. But I know that will require a Stream Deck, which isn't too expensive to handle all the streaming stuff. So we shall see how that goes. But if I'm going to do that, I got to get, I'm going to have to order a set of glasses that are specifically for wearing while you watch, you're in front of the computer, so it kind of helps with the, helps your eyes deal with the light coming from the computer screen. Let's see, how far we got? 17. Okay, we should be able to call in for landing by now, I believe. LGTS. There it is. Oops. All right. Oh, there it is right there. Perfect. All right, we're just going to make a beeline right for there since we have the ability to do so. I do appreciate everybody coming by. I use Xbox. Well, depends on what you like. I think with the base game, there's plenty of stuff to utilize there. It just depends on what you're into. Whether it's jetliners, I would say the A320 is already included, so I would use that. General aviation, you've got the 172 is a good option to start with. I would just get used to those and then eventually branch out into other aircraft available. This is the Junkers 52 is part of the local legends when they did the World Update 6, I believe. Yeah. World Update 7 saw the release of the Fokker F-7B. World Update 8 has the Dornier flying boat. But yeah, there's plenty of things out there. There's just a lot more that we're waiting on is for the to be released for the Xbox. I would also recommend, if you're looking at Warbirds, I would pick up either the Spitfire or the P-38 Lightning. Both of those are well made by Flying Iron. So yeah, lots of stuff out there. But yeah, there's plenty that's already in the sim that you can kind of work with and get used to before you start branching out into other things. I would highly recommend going through if you haven't done it already, go through the in-sim flight school and just kind of get used to things there if you haven't done so. It's a good way to learn, especially if you're just using a controller. Or even if you're using a yoke, just getting used to how the planes, yeah, it's not bad. It's just that you need to spend some time kind of learning the peculiarities of the 110. It does have an autopilot system, but changing altitudes is a bit. It's not how you would be used to. I do have the Captain Sim stuff, but I don't fly it anymore. Their stuff is based on the Asobo 747. It's kind of hit and miss. Sometimes the plane works, sometimes it doesn't for whatever reasons. So I would be a bit cautious about that one. But if you feel like you can fly it and get some good use out of it, then by all means. But there is supposed to be a PMDG 737 coming later on at some point. They are finalizing it for PC release, and then hopefully it will be on the Xbox in the near future. My feeling is that whatever you get, you need to spend. Oh, thank you, Aviation Beast. Spend some time just kind of working with the aircraft once you get it. Don't just assume that everything's going to work the way that you think it will. The Embraers they're a bit quirky. I've flown the 110. I think I flew it recently within the last week or so. So do check that out. That's got some information there about, like the flight level changes and stuff like that. It's kind of counterintuitive, but it's doable. It'll work. It just takes a little bit getting used to. But they're cool little planes because you do get some other, you get some liveries with them. They're kind of cool to fly with, and but yeah, just spend some time, flying it, getting used to how everything works, and you'll have fun. A lot of people will say stay away from the Captain Sim stuff. Some people like it. They have no issues with it, and other people struggle with it quite a bit. So Alright, all of our flaps are down. I am going... Okay, take care, Mela. Thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you later. Alright, I'm going to turn the laptop the other way just a bit so I can focus on the landing. And we will wrap this up about an hour and a half. So it said about a 2-hour flight, but we did pretty good time-wise. So we'll be back in this on Wednesday. From here, we're going to head over to Athens and then wrap this trip up in the Junkers 52. Tomorrow we'll be in the ERJ 175 going to William P. Hobby to Los Angeles. Going from William P. Hobby to Los Angeles, not going to and then to. We are going from and to. Guess I can't talk this morning. Alright, there's our runway. and we are on a 160. So we should be landing into the wind here. Now, interestingly enough, if we were to miss, we would have to climb out very steeply to get over that mountain to clear if we had to do a go-around. So I think if we're going to land it one way or the other, we're not going to go missed approach. I will tell you this, Aviation Beast, there is a lot of stuff on sale currently, so check out a lot of that before you buy anything else. There is some stuff out there that's for sale, so... They're having a spring sale right now. But also, if you haven't done so already, I would go, if you scroll down towards the bottom of under the description of for today's video, there's a link to the Microsoft Flight Simulator forums. I would also go through there just to see, you know, purchase what you want to purchase. I'll just put it that way. But any other questions, usually that's a good place to get some information from as well. Well, there we are. On behalf of myself and the entire flight crew, I'd like to welcome you to... Hello, Gamer Boris. I'd like to welcome you to Thessaloniki Airport. Let's see, 1, 2... I think it's like 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon there. We know and appreciate that you have many options when it comes to your Microsoft Flight Simulator live stream viewing pleasures, and we are glad that you chose to fly with us today. Do join us tomorrow. Embraer 175 service from William P. Hobby to LAX Los Angeles. 6:30 Eastern, 11:30 UK. All right. 121.7. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right. Well, no worries. Glad to help out. We're just going to go right over there to our parking spot. It looks like they're waiting for us there. That happens every so often for some reason. that will tune in for our taxi instructions to our parking spot, and then it'll kind of just quit on us, so that's alright. That looks like the fuel stand. That is the fuel stand. I think that's why, because it was going to send us there. That's alright. Alright, let's turn our batteries off. There we go. An hour and 12 minutes. Not too shabby, actually. That worked out a lot quicker. We got there a lot quicker than we expected to. Anyway, that's going to be it for today, folks. I do greatly appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out. Thank you for the 8 thumbs up. Hopefully you enjoyed the flight. I will see you all tomorrow, 6:30 Eastern, 11:30 UK. For our flight going from William P. Hobby to Los Angeles. So Houston to LAX, KHOU to KLAX. Do enjoy the rest of your Monday morning, afternoon, evening, early Tuesday morning, depending on where you are in the world. Until then, peace, live long and prosper.